All right. Hello, and welcome to the 106th edition of Sutton Impact Family Style. I'm Jason.
And I'm Bill, and I'll start us off with our sports business moments.
Okay.
So one of the things I really like is, Major League Baseball has had an issue with being able to promote itself and talking to certain of their players and wanting their players to help them promote themselves, right?
Yes.
So now players are going to be able to post their own highlights and their own videos, and Major League Baseball is actually going to assist them by providing content to them to post on their sites.
Ooh, that's really nice.
It is. It's about time, though, right?
Yeah. And Major League Baseball should assign a guy to Mike Trout and be like, I know you hate this stuff, but we're going to do it for you.
Yeah, so we'll get it up there for you. So contrast that with the Not for Fun League.
Yes.
Who is now looking to bar players from leaving the sidelines to join celebrations. And I think what strikes me about this is, don't they have better things to figure out?
I would hope so.
I would hope so, too. This just doesn't seem like it's that big of a deal.
No, and I didn't hear anybody complaining about the celebrations last year.
I didn't either.
And I thought,
In fact, I think if anything, it was more fun to watch last year.
Yeah. And I think towards the end of it, even the players themselves were like, I don't even know what to do anymore.
Yeah, they ran out of creativity. Maybe they need choreographers now.
They might, because at this point, some of them towards the end, it was like, yeah, we saw the variation of the tag and the duck, duck, goose and every other, whatever teammate thing you're going to do. Like, what else you got?
Well, I figured Juju's working on a whole bunch of stuff for next season.
We're going to see what Juju can do celebration-wise when there's no Antonio Brown on the other side, sadly. So, yeah.
It's true. But I did see Juju running pass patterns in a mall with kids.
Yeah.
And I like him. I just think he's so refreshing.
He's good at branding.
He almost reminds me of Shaq.
Yeah.
He's a big kid.
Very much so. And he's still, I think he's only 21 still, right?
Yeah.
And he's going into his third season in the NFL, which is crazy.
I know. Well, while we're on the NFL, let's talk about Bob Kraft.
This is a can of worms, isn't it?
This is a can of worms. So the latest is that they've got video of Bob Kraft going into the Orchid Club on Saturday evening, the night before the AFC Championship, spending about 35 to 40 minutes with two women and paying $200. Yeah. And then the next morning coming back and paying one woman $100. And then flying off presumably to the AFC Championship game.
Yes.
So I guess he was looking for multiple happy endings in the same day.
Yes. And as people that made the overworked Twitter joke, as people like to say, is that this is the first happy ending for a Patriots Super Bowl in a long time.
Yes. So it just,
obviously like the glad of a situation because, it sheds light on a sex trafficking operation that is happening all over this country, which is absolutely terrible. And then you have to bring the question, how does Robert Kraft find out about this place and how much does he know?
And maybe what this does is it, like the Ray Rice thing gave a face to violence against women. Maybe this puts a face on trafficking. And maybe this turns out to be a positive thing to stop a bad problem. But you still have to wonder why a guy worth over $6 billion is going into a club, going anywhere other than having someone come to his room if that's what he wants.
Right.
It just doesn't make sense. There has to be something there. And I think that's what a lot of people are hanging their hat on. So I'm going to wait for that Pulitzer Prize type journalism from TMZ because I know they're going to have enough money to buy that video.
But it's going to be interesting to see with a guy like Kraft, who, rich people in this country have typically been able to worm their way out of lots of things.
Yep.
And
we better buy TMZ.
Yeah.
Because they will come hard. They will come hard at this.
And if he does get anything, he does have maybe, as sad as this is, there's a statement. He has good friends with our president. So
yes. Who I was hoping was the more high profile person in the club.
Yes, without a doubt.
But
Who also has a checkered past, as people have been pointing out, with sort of things along these lines, and
yeah, I think he's just too discreet.
yes.
All right. So my next business moment is HBO and Major League Baseball have partnered on the Game of Thrones bobbleheads. All the teams will be participating and offer a Night King and an Ice Dragon bobblehead. And they'll also, if they have a mascot, their mascot on a throne with a bat as a scepter with the team logo as the banner. And this is all going to happen in April with the to promote the final season of Game of Thrones.
So the first two, the Night King and the Dragon one,
The Ice Dragon.
those are strictly Game of Thrones bobbleheads being offered through Major League Baseball with no, it's not like it's the Night King wearing a pirate hat. Like this is strictly, and it's not like a Yankee Dragon. It's just Game of Thrones bobbleheads. Right?
I think so, yeah.
And the third one would obviously be the team mascot. So, and not to go too Pittsburgh heavy, but it's a team I know. So it would be the pirate parrot sitting on the throne.
Sitting on the throne with a bat and a pirate logo for the banner.
And you figure with all the people that love Game of Thrones and collectibles, like, and the fact that they can order every team's online,
yeah,
they're going to bank.
They are, but do you think it's going to have, and I think it'll have some impact on attendance as people are going to want to get a free bobblehead.
Yes.
But do you think it's going to make anybody a baseball fan?
I can't imagine. I think it would have to be such a rare occurrence,
Yeah.
Like, I think if you're already a baseball fan, this is like, oh, I want to go to, 10 or 15 games a year. Like, this is a game I want to go to now because I want to get the Game of Thrones bobblehead.
Sure. And it's a great promotion because the worst attended month is April.
Right. And I'm positive there'll be Game of Thrones fans that, live in Chicago and they're like, you know what, I'm going to go get the Chicago White Sox. I'm going to go to their bobblehead night so I can get these Game of Thrones bobbleheads and not have to pay for them.
Yeah.
But
and we'll be eagerly watching eBay the next day.
Yes, but it's hard to imagine somebody going to I'm trying to think of the circumstances where, like, if it's something I'm not really a fan of now, like, what would have to happen during that game for me to all of a sudden become a fan?
Yeah.
I'm not a huge soccer person, but if soccer offered, some collectible that I was really into and I went to a soccer game, it's not to say I couldn't go and enjoy the soccer game or soccer match, whatever you want to call it. But I don't know that there's anything that could happen in that game that would be so incredible that I would want to keep going back without the incentive that I had before.
Agreed. So,
but great promotion, and it's I don't know.
The logic of it is April games are poorly attended.
Yeah.
So this could be a real boost for April attendance. And, literally your Ice Dragon might be really authentic because you might be playing in weather in the 30s and 40s.
Oh, without a doubt.
And then my last business moment is Ted Leonsis, who owns the Washington Wizards and the Capitals in the building, is going to build an in-game gambling parlor in the arena.
Ooh.
And he's going to be the first one to do that. He's going to partner with a sports book. But his thoughts were that the building is closed a lot of the time. Why not have something that makes sense and let people come in and do their gambling in that arena and also to be able to gamble when they walk in to go to a game?
I think it makes total sense. I mean, you're going to be able to do it through your phone in, the shortest amount of time.
Yeah. I mean, if you were walking into a game at Madison Square Garden and there was a gambling window there, and you wanted to bet on somebody hitting a triple-double and bet $5 on it or bet on somebody scoring 30 points, it kind of makes the game more fun, doesn't it?
I mean, that's pretty much fantasy football, right?
That's exactly what it is.
Now all these games that I normally don't care about, I want to know if the Cardinals, David Johnson.
There's games within a game. You can bet on quarters. You can do different things. So I think it's going to be exactly like fantasy football. I think it's going to give you a reason to be more invested in what you see.
Right. And even if your favorite team's game, they're down by 30 at halftime, they're getting blown out, but somebody on there, Kevin Durant has 35 at half,
Yeah.
Go bet on whether or not he's going to put up 50 in the, in the total game or, whatever.
Exactly.
Like, so see what happens. See my bet pays off.
Yeah. In the fourth quarter, there's probably going to be odds that, Russ has got 28 points, 9 rebounds, and 7 assists. What are the odds? They probably give you an odds about him getting a triple-double.
Yeah.
And then you could bet on that. I mean, it's a lot of fun things with it. I kind of like what could happen.
I mean, gambling happens now anyway.
Sure.
So it might as well just happen in a way that, is more accessible. And, this makes so much sense for the stadiums and the teams and everybody else. And like you said, I think if I would go to a game, I'd probably put money on a few things.
Sure, you would.
And while the bobbleheads may not be the thing, and maybe this is in a bad way, but while the bobbleheads wouldn't make me continue to like a game. If I went to a sporting event I wasn't a big fan of, and I gambled and I won, and probably not the best of way, psychologically speaking, if I'm not, but that might have been something like, this was so much fun. I was hanging out with my friends. I gambled. I won $100. I want to go back.
Yeah.
Now, again, I obviously don't want people to be addicted to gambling and end up in debt and all that other stuff, but I can see this being something that would build fandom more so than,
No question. So we'll see where it goes. Well, those are my business moments. And like I said, we're trying to get a commitment from Jeremy Walls from the Miami Open to come in and talk about the Miami Open, which will be an amazing tennis event in Miami in March. And I'd like Jeremy to talk about how they're transforming a football stadium into a tennis venue.
Well, that'd be very cool.
It's really cool.
Well, we've got a little bit of Major League Baseball this week, right?
We do. Manny Machado signs a contract with the Padres.
With the Padres?
It's a 10-year deal. And he can opt out after 5. And so I was thinking about it. First of all, I said, well, nobody's going to pay Manny Machado ridiculous money after he's already, he's 29, 30 years old. But then I thought about it. You'd only have him on the hook for those. You could maybe sign him for those same 5 years, and maybe that makes it a more palatable contract. Or if he's playing really well and the Padres are winning, maybe he's real happy and he renegotiates his deal and gets a better deal.
Right.
And the Padres have a lot of talent, and they're going to be a fun, exciting team. It's a great place to watch a game. I really applaud the signing.
Yes, indeed. And we still have no Bryce Harper signing, though.
No, but supposedly now it's down to the Phillies were the front runner, and all of a sudden the Dodgers jump back in.
Yeah.
And I think the White Sox are jumping back in. So he could get – I don't know if he's going to get more than 10 years and more than $300 million. I don't know. That seems to be a ridiculous amount of money to me. But, it is what it is. If they couldn't pay it, they wouldn't do it.
Well, I know, again, I was like, we said on the podcast, I'm not a huge analytics person, but I know his defensive stats are down the last couple of seasons. And I think last year he batted .219. And I know he had other numbers that made him look a little bit better, but.
Well, he definitely had an off year last year. No question.
He had an off year last year. But I was asking a few people at work today, is he the most, if you had, 100 people in a bar, is he the most recognizable baseball face that would walk in of current baseball players?
Bryce Harper?
Yeah.
Probably.
Yeah,
I would say.
Obviously, whether he's the best or not, I think, he's an attractive guy. He's got a very gregarious personality. He's the person. I think he's one of the if you're not a huge baseball fan, I think you still know what Bryce Harper, what he looks like. And,
Sure. Remember him at the All-Star game in Washington where he flipped the bat and everything else he did, his dad pitching to him. I mean, he drew a lot of attention to himself.
Yeah. And he's sort of the anti-Trout in that, and that, Trout is this amazing baseball player that, could probably be in my kitchen right now, and I'd probably have to double check him for an ID. Whereas I recognize Bryce Harper down the street. So,
yeah, we'll see.
And there's got to be
if Philadelphia signs him, with their other acquisitions, including McCutchen and everything else, that's a pretty interesting team.
It's a fun team for sure.
But here's a problem I'll give you. The NBA ratings are down, TV ratings are down. And why are they down? Well, LeBron's on the West Coast now. The Golden State's on the West Coast. Denver's a good team. They're in the mountain zone.
Yeah.
All the interesting teams are West. And so you're not going to stay up and watch those games at 10:30.
No.
So it's definitely going to impact the audience. So now if Manny Machado goes to the Padres, let's say Bryce Harper goes to the Dodgers, Mike Trout's already in L.A., you get the Yankees, the Red Sox, and then the West Coast. And so you get some interesting stories. You still have a lot of the named players in the other time zone.
Where people can't see them on a regular basis, yeah.
That's right. Or see enough of them to really impact ratings.
Well, the NBA, you still have the Raptors of Toronto, who are a very interesting team. You got Philly with Joel Embiid.
Yep.
And then you have the drama in Boston, which is just
getting a little sickening.
And again, you hate to see. There's so many factors involved in how the other team feels, how Boston is feeling that night. But you look at the games that Kyrie doesn't play, and that team, with the games that I've watched, they seem to be like the team we watched in the playoffs last year. No doubt Kyrie is the most talented player they have, but they do seem to sort of merge into a more cohesive unit when he's not on the floor. Which seems to be part of the reason he went from I want to be in Boston for life to maybe I'm going to be a Knick next year.
Hey, and you got Chris Paul with James Harden out. They win.
Yeah, they go to Golden State.
So, I mean, there are some things to be said about that. I mean, obviously, when you have some of these players that take a lot of shots and have the ball in their hands a lot of the time, there's a lot of standing around, and you don't really have a fluid offense, except for whatever that player brings.
It's true. Now, since we just talked briefly about Golden State, obviously them losing, did you see the latest Kevin Durant hissy fit?
Yes, I did. So what do you think is going to happen now?
On the one hand, being that this is 2019 and that every player has Twitter, Snapchat, YouTube, Facebook, they have tons of opportunities to present their own message out there. They aren't really required to give any reporter anything interesting from KG's standpoint. Like, why am I talking to you? Who are you?
Sure.
On some level, that's true. I'm sure every reporter in the world is terrified at this point because it's like they have no reason to actually give you anything other than Bill Belichick. Both teams played hard. We're going to try our best. They don't have to give anything interesting, and they could be the most boring people for you, and then go on their own social media or maybe with their own friend who's got their podcast or whatever, and just give them all the real fun stuff. But I think when you're Kevin Durant, and obviously LeBron James has been doing it, when you keep signing these 1 and 2 year deals and you're a pending free agent.
Always. You're a perennial free agent.
You're a perennial free agent. And people are going to want to, I want to know.
I'm not going to sign a contract for 5 years for a suite if LeBron has a 2-year contract.
No.
I want some guarantee that I'm not going to have a suite for a LeBron-less team.
Right. And, if you're Kevin Durant, there's been speculation that you're unhappy. You had a public fight with Draymond Green on the court.
Yeah.
And you're very surly and angry all the time. And I can't decide back and forth, as someone that is not a boss in the world, I like the fact of, player empowerment and, taking control of your own destiny and the best situation for you at any given moment at any given time, like everybody technically has in the world. Like, if you're not happy at your job and you find something better, you're more than welcome to go there. And I do like that.
Sure.
But I do wonder.
Jason, you like a good conspiracy theory.
I do.
The Knicks have been bad for an awful long time.
Yes.
The last time the Knicks were bad for an awful long time, they got Patrick Ewing.
Yes.
There's always been a little controversy about how they got Patrick Ewing.
The frozen envelope.
Something,
yeah.
So do we see the possibility of Zion going to the Knicks? To boost up that market. And then you throw in KD, and all of a sudden you have a real TV-worthy franchise.
If you had KD, Kyrie, which is a possibility, and then Zion Williamson, along with Kevin Knox and Frankie Smokes and the rest of that team, that's a contender automatically in the city of New York.
Mm-hmm.
And then you got New York, Philly, and you'd still have a good Boston team. And that way your East and your West, you're looking pretty good still.
That would be the one thing to really balance the NBA.
It would.
Because then you have New York, Boston, Philly. You have Golden State, the Lakers, and presumably Denver, which looks like an amazingly strong team.
And Oklahoma City looks like they've got a couple years in them. And the Clippers are surprisingly,
And Dallas is going to be a strong team.
Yeah. And if Kawhi goes to the Clippers, along with those, Shai Gilgeous-Alexander and the other guys, like all of a sudden, like you said, you've got all the teams you want spread out.
But you have the right teams.
And the right teams, yeah. You have the big markets and stars in the biggest markets. So, yeah. I mean, it makes all the sense in the world.
Well, let's follow that story, see if that happens. I'm not saying it's going to happen, but if there was going to be a conspiracy, that'd be the conspiracy I would pick.
Yes. And we talked a little bit off air, but obviously Zion Williamson had the shoe blowout.
Yes. Nike stock tumbled 1%, which is a big number.
It is. But as we talked about, like a 6'9", 280-pound man that moves that quick and that fast creates so much torque. You know, and who knows how many times those shoes have been worn and everything else, and whether it's a free thing or not. But I think it goes back to the debate that's being had in the public right now, and I was going to get your thoughts on, if you're Zion Williamson, you are right now the number one pick in the draft. It's not even a question. You got a lot of. I know you have an $8 million insurance policy.
If you fall below what, 15?
If you fall below 15, which, you know, I assume even if he had blown out his knee, he's probably the still top 3 pick no matter what.
Absolutely.
Just like Joel Embiid was. But what is his intent?
If the starter is going to miss 6 months, you'd still make him the number one pick.
Yeah. So if you're Zion Williamson, what is your real incentive to go back and play?
Well, as Dick Vitale says, it would be love of the game, wouldn't it?
It would be love of the game.
Loving my team.
Charles Barkley said, you know, we're basketball players, we play basketball. But when it's an organization like the NCAA that makes a ton of money off underpaid, off no pay labor, like, you know, you're really not, you know, who, you know, I don't know.
And what I read today was that the Atlantic Coast Conference host is starting to dump a lot of tickets because they don't think he's going to play in a tournament.
Right. No, and if he did play, Zion Williams isn't seeing a dime of that money. So.
No, he doesn't.
He doesn't. And neither does Cam Reddish or anybody else on that team. So, I mean, I certainly have no ill will if he decided. Again, though, it's not like he wouldn't continue to be playing basketball to stay in basketball shape and improve his basketball skills. So I guess the argument would be you might as well be playing against the best competition you can moving forward as opposed to, you know.
Sure. I mean, this is your livelihood.
Or you can do what Doncic says and just go play in Europe.
Yeah, I mean, do you want to do this? Is this what you want to do? Do you want to play and risk yourself? I mean, yeah, there was teams that you saw a lot of football players sitting out the bowl game because it wasn't the national championship game.
No, I don't blame any one of them, not one of them.
You could argue that Zion Williams has a realistic shot to be in a national championship game. And so it comes down to, how important is that to him?
It's an excellent question.
Yeah.
Like I said, I see both sides.
I can't answer it. I don't know if he can answer it yet.
No, definitely not. But it was interesting at the very least.
Oh, no question.
Did you check the AAF ratings after we had our guest on last week?
Yeah, they fell because they weren't on the national CBS. They were on, one was on the NFL Network and one was on CBS Sports, which is like on DirecTV, it's like 221. I mean, I knew where it was.
Right. But
so yesterday I watched Birmingham, which was 2-0, at Atlanta, which was 0-2. And I called to see what the actual attendance was. The actual attendance was 13,000. They were pretty spread out.
Okay.
But again, as I said, Atlanta is just not a good team. And there was a lot of booing going on during that game yesterday. I mean, I think the problem is there's some really good teams that are fun to watch. But it's not, you know, I know their goal was to equally distribute the talent, but it never works out that way. I mean, somebody's going to lose every game.
No.
But they're just not.
Quarterback is a big position where, like, guys like Hossenberg just can't play the position.
So I got to sit here and wonder, like, is Landry Jones under contract somewhere?
I don't believe he was. I think he got picked up by Jacksonville and some other team that was playing the Steelers, and then they got cut like the following week. So I think he's out there. Yeah.
I mean, I don't know why he didn't go play to try and earn a better contract. I mean, there's some real question marks for me. I mean, to me, it's a golden opportunity to go showcase because you're playing before the draft starts.
Exactly.
And I mean, you could get somebody really interested in you that wants to sign you and then use a draft pick on something else. I mean, I just don't – that I didn't understand. I thought there'd be more people that would want to do that.
And especially, I think, again, I know it's a Pittsburgh-centric podcast that we have here, but Landry Jones is a perfect example. You're a 30-year-old backup quarterback that has shown some signs when you've got...
Yeah, you got to pay a lot of money for never getting hit.
Yeah. But you could go out there, I mean, and you've shown that you can play in the NFL. But you're never going to be somebody's starter, presumably, at least right now, based on what we've seen. But you could maybe go light up that league and maybe get a second, another shot at a starting job.
Yeah. I mean, maybe the Redskins would sign you, right?
Yeah. I do know. Yeah. And back to one of the earlier stories about sports business, I do see there's a whole AAF page that, because I do watch a lot of sports on YouTube, that pops up with highlights. So they're doing a good job of, the social media blasts on the AAF league, letting you see highlights and everything else. So
I think they're doing everything they can within their power. It's just, you can hardly do some of these things. I mean, if you don't have a quarterback, I mean, I was watching that Atlanta team walk off the field. I mean, they played some really good defense for a while. And then this guy would just throw a pick or just get sacked 3 times in a row and lose 40 yards. I mean, I watched these guys shrug their shoulders as they walked off. I mean, they were totally demoralized.
Yeah.
But the quarterback is a key role. So speaking about quarterbacks, let's go online right now and let's make a guess as to where Kyler Murray is going to go.
Well,
how high?
Draft I
picking numbers.
15.
Picking numbers.
But I don't see that.
You're picking 15?
No, they said 15 to Washington, but I think if I'm Washington, I know you're not supposed to do this and think about other players, but the last really athletic, kind of slightly built quarterback they had blew out his knee and ended up not working out for them. So I think he's going to go a lot higher than that.
I think he's going to go 4 to Oakland.
Okay. I think he's going to wow.
I was watching some old clips of Chucky.
Okay.
And he was arguing about height of quarterbacks. And Chucky's not very tall either.
No.
And he was arguing, and he had his fingers 1.5 inches apart. And he's saying, so you're not going to draft him because of this. And he was really animated about it and really vocal. So I'm thinking that, well, as many picks as they have, they've got 3 first-round picks.
And 2 next year.
Yeah, they got a lot of picks. I mean, I think he could be, if he does anything like he did in college.
Yeah.
If he can avoid getting hit, and I think he probably can. I don't see this guy taking a big hit. Because, Vince Young took a lot of big hits.
Yeah.
This guy's a lot faster than Vince Young was. He's smaller, but he is elusive.
He is. And he can throw. He's got an arm.
And I've been watching I watched Lamar Jackson that last couple months. And he was very effective for somebody that can't throw. And Kyler Murray can throw.
Mm-hmm.
So that's the other thing. I mean, if you have him sprinting out and doing some things, I think he can play. I think he goes 4 to Oakland.
I like that. I was going to say 7.
David Carr can be moved for another draft pick.
Yeah. Well, it seemed pretty clear he's not like Derek Carr. Chucky himself. No. He's not a fan of Derek Carr. But I think,
he doesn't.
Did we ever talk about the NBA starting their African League?
No, we didn't talk about that. And it's interesting because it's getting a lot of publicity.
It is.
But I think it's a great thing to do. And I think there's a lot of untapped talent there.
Certainly.
I don't look at to be the fiscal return like NBA China, though.
No.
Because there's just not that much wealth in Africa.
No. But you could, I mean, it might be 20 years from now, but if you have a league and you get the right coaches over there and player development, 20 years from now, or maybe even sooner than that, you might have enough talent that you can influx there that you're adding, 5 or 6 more teams globally, or maybe more than that, just from Africa alone.
Maybe so.
When that's the problem with the NFL. Like the NBA can set up these leagues in Europe and everything else and send people over there to teach the game, and you can get all these diamonds and the roughs that pop out of there. But the NFL can't really do that.
No, they really can't. I did watch the end of the outdoor game with the Penguins and the Flyers.
Yeah.
And I watched the Penguins blow a 4-1 lead and lose 5-4.
And on hockey, 20 seconds here. The Penguins made 2 more, I'm not sure what they were thinking trades today. But they did keep their first round pick for the first time in like 10 years. So it's kind of exciting.
I mean, yeah, they need something. And the game was played in the rain too, by the way.
Yeah. For a team that was the team that made this Penguins team so special was speed, speed, and speed. Obviously, skill involved, but that goes without saying. But they were a super fast team. And all the trades they've made with Jack Johnson and some of these other signings, they keep getting slower, bigger, lumbering guys. And I don't know what they're thinking. But
I don't know either.
But I can't be a Big Wins fan that won a bunch of stuff. So good for them.
Well, let's switch and talk a little entertainment.
All right. True Detective.
True Detective. A very interesting ending. I don't want to spoil it for anybody, but if you haven't watched the show, go binge it. And that day will fly through that you binge it. It's just a really well done show. And I thought the ending was one of the more unique endings I've seen. It was very surprising to me because I didn't think it was going to go in that direction.
True. And I know some people, and this hopefully isn't spoiling anything, but some people have said they didn't like it because it was so dark. I would say this is the least dark season ever.
Oh, for sure. For sure. Yeah.
And I think I feel like if you watch the show, the all 8 hours, whatever it ended up being, you're going to have a satisfying conclusion to it all. That's what I would say.
I agree. I think you'll enjoy it. And I really got into the acting. The acting really good.
Especially the two leads. Ali, who obviously just won the Oscar for the second time, is phenomenal. Right. And then Stephen Dorff, who I think everybody forgot about. I hadn't seen him since basically Blade, but I thought he was outstanding in the show.
He was outstanding. He was really, really good. And he was in each of his progressions to both of these actors as they progressed in these different decades and they had to act differently and look differently. They both were really just off the charts. That was amazing.
Yeah.
So speaking of Oscars, the Green Book won the Best Picture. And I think I said in November on the show that I thought it was my nominee for Best Picture. And I was not disappointed. I thought that was a really well done film, and I thought they won. Probably the best moment for me, though, was watching Lady Gaga win her Oscar and just really being impressed and moved by how important it was to her and what she had to say. I was really blown away by her speech.
Well, the little bit that I did watch, I thought Olivia Colman, who I've been a big fan with since the BBC Peep Show, I thought that was a great speech.
I know she didn't expect to win.
No.
So that was really, really good.
But she's got a ton. I mean,
yeah, she was so excited.
Yeah. But going back.
She's a really excited person.
Yeah. Going back to Peep Show, Mitchell and Webb, she's got comedy chops, Broadchurch. Like she can do everything.
Yeah.
It was very nice to see.
She also had a very good speech. So both of those were really good. And my funniest social media moment I saw today was one of my friends said, "I'm not ashamed to say I have a man crush on Bradley Cooper."
Huh.
So,
yeah.
Any good food this week?
I had some good food, but nothing really. I mean, I ate a place called El Gato Negro. It's a Mexican place. It was pretty good. But it's not a must go to if you're down here. But it was really good.
I went to La Trattoria in Dunedin, which has no menu and no prices. And he's only open from 5 till 8:45 each night.
Wow.
And I got to tell you, it's some of the best food I've ever had. I mean, he cooks what he has. And if he has the ingredients, he'll make it whatever way you want to make it. So I had a filet La Pizziola, which is like a tomato oregano sauce. And I asked him to kick it up a little bit, and it was off the charts. It was delicious. That's the second time I've been there, and it's an hour drive from Tampa. But we were going to go see the Art Garfunkel concert in Dunedin, or in Clearwater, so it worked out. But it's an amazing, amazing restaurant.
So when you go into this restaurant with no menu, is there just a list of daily
stuff? They come to the table, and they bring out all the stuff they can make for an appetizer. And they say, what would you like me to make? And then they come back and they've got all the steaks and all the fish and all the other things. And then he asks you how you want it, what you like to have made. You can combine different things and create your own dishes.
Huh.
And then he has all the pasta, and all the pasta's homemade. And he makes the sauces right there at the time. So they're not cooked for hours and hours and hours, but they are really good sauces. I mean, I was blown away. I had angel hair with my steak, and it was amazing.
Well, it's the greatest pasta ever made. I don't know why they ever make other pastas.
And the sauce was tremendous on it. So it was really good.
And you also had some pizza.
I did after your recommendation from from Goldbelly, Prince Street Pizza in New York, and you told me about the pepperoni pizza that was actually made with like a Fra Diavolo sauce or a spicier sauce, and the pizza was loaded with pepperoni. And I have to tell you, for frozen pizza, it was amazing. It was amazing. In fact, we had leftovers tonight, finished it up.
Okay.
It's the best frozen pizza I think I've ever had. And it just, they cook the pizza and they freeze it and send it to you. And I will now tell you that when I go to New York next time, I'm going to go to Prince Street Pizza because I want to order that pizza live and in person. Yeah. It was off the charts. It was amazing.
You guys had the cheese and the pepperoni, right? Or did you just cook the pepperoni so far?
I had pepperoni and I had the cheese, and they were both very, very good.
But if you went to Prince Street Pizza, you'd get pepperoni.
I think if you could buy it by the slice, I'd have one of each because I like them both. But that's the most pepperoni you'll ever have on pizza, by far. I mean, you don't have a bite without pepperoni. In fact, you don't have a bite without 2 or 3 pieces of pepperoni.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
And it's people listening at home, if you look it up on Goldbelly, you can see the pictures. But it's the kind of pepperoni that curls up in like a little cup.
Yep.
Yeah.
And it was absolutely to die for. And so, like I said, now I have to see it at the actual restaurant.
Oh, yeah.
It was great on Goldbelly. I would order it again.
It's fantastic. So we could really use some ratings and reviews on iTunes. So if you're listening out there and you listen to the show, at least if you can just click on it. Basically, if you just click on it and it'll say ratings and reviews. And if you just put 5 stars, it'd be great if you write something. But if you can at least give us a star rating, it really, really helps. Gets it further up the list and more people can see it and access it and all those good things.
And that's important to us. And we want to keep improving the show. So we'll try and have our next guest on next week. We're working on getting that finalized right now. Yeah, we're glad to talk to you. You hear that, Matt Swan? That's it.